Assassin's Promise by Thomas Woodward. Chapter 25. Millie peeked out of the wagon's window. Night had fallen and the caravan had pulled to a rest. She could hear the others unpacking belongings and preparing the tents for the night. Gerald carried heavy blankets under his arm as he moved towards one of the tents, outlined by the bright night sky. Stars were evident high above them. Millie saw a burst of fire across the sky as a meteor arced into the blackness. Another one appeared on the edge of her vision. They must be thousands, if not millions of miles away. But she could see the red glow and imagine the incredible heat they must produce. In the desert, the sky opened up before her like a neatly spread tapestry. Deep magentas faded into black as true night fell. But she always had the stars. They were bright and constant. Ever since she had been a little girl, she remembered seeing them. One day her father had roused her at a truly unreasonable hour with excitement to show her a meteor shower. It had been the first time she had seen them. She missed her parents. She wondered with detached curiosity when she would see them again. Not until she passed her 16th naming day, and that would be the earliest she could hope for. Even that was far from a certainty. Gerald came into her field of view. Sitting up, Millie could see him a little better now that he had started a low campfire after setting up the tents. "Miss, the tents will be ready soon, and the driver would like a word with you before you turn in for the night." He held his arm forward, should she need assistance. Millie looked up at Gerald, uncertain. "Sir, may I ask what it is he requests of me?" "I wouldn't worry about it, miss. I think he wants to tell you about the journey. It's customary, really. No sense in hurting his pride. He no doubt just wants to impress you with how great a distance we made today, miss." Gerald had a knowing smile, but was careful to wait for her reply. "Gerald, I don't really know what I'm doing. Do you have any recommendation? Should I commend him for his efforts today, or would that seem brazen?" Millie let herself be led over to the other end of the small camp. The horses were covered with their blankets and looked content munching on some barley meal. One of them whinnied softly as she passed them before returning to graze. Millie smiled in spite of herself. It was wonderful to be moving forward, somewhere, anywhere. The thrill of adventure gave her goosebumps. She shivered a little from the cold, too. The driver sat over by the fire. The flames rose high into the air, casting a bright glow on his worn features. He had a heavy tan, and his sun-darkened features were lined with age. He must be close to 60 summers, Millie thought. He seemed to be staring into the fire, eyes unfocused, content with the warmth it gave. Millie could feel the chill in the air, which was a stark contrast to the heat during the day. Sitting down next to the man, Millie waited for some reaction from him, prompting her to speak. He just sat there. Unsure of what to do next, Millie waited patiently. She didn't want to be the one to break the silence first. She didn't know how to best address the man. She realized she didn't even know his name. Hiding embarrassment, she shifted away from the intense heat of the fire. It was an odd feeling, the front of her sweating in her dress, her back freezing from the cold of the night. "You know, I wanted to introduce myself earlier, but what with your folks and all, didn't seem the right time," the driver said. Millie waited for more, but nothing further came. Making the best of it, Millie plowed forward. "Do you think it will be a long trip, sir?" "'Twill be, to be sure," he drawled. "I don't plan on making it any longer than needed, though, miss. I wanted to take an account of ye before moving on for the morrow. You seem to be a good lass. Right bright-eyed and sharp. Don't worry. Old Jess will keep you safe from harm, lass." The old man reached his hand forward, closer to the fire. He held it there for another moment or two, before slowly pulling it back and tucking it into his coat reflexively. Millie felt a little better about the journey. Although the old man was a bit odd, it seemed good to meet him, if for no reason other than to remove some of the awkwardness. The old man coughed into his coat before holding both hands out again towards the fire. "I'm sorry, miss. I'm not the best talking type, but Jess keeps his word. Aye, that he does." He mumbled more to himself, but Millie couldn't pick it out. He seemed tired from the day. Millie didn't want to press him for more. She slowly moved away, looking for Kayana, where she would sleep for the night. She had expected something more. Oddly, the aged driver seemed content sitting by the fire while the night grew late. Maybe he had just wanted to make her feel welcome in his own way. She had never embarked on a trip like this before, and she wasn't sure what to expect. She hoped Eddie was alive, somewhere. Turning her thoughts back to her training, she checked her dress to make sure it was still intact from the ride. It was a bulky thing, so she had to be careful of it catching on a loose rock in the gravel and sand. Millie moved towards one of the tents. It held a warm glow from within. Hopefully, Kayana made room for her in the tent. Brushing aside the opening flap, Millie peeked her head in before entering. Kayana looked up, a calm expression on her face. "Miss, I will stand watch for you. Gerald laid out your bedding, but I wanted to welcome you into the tent for the first night. Traveling is hard on the mind and body. For tonight, please accept this small thing we have done for you. The morrow will bring more, once you are ready for it." Standing abruptly, Kayana walked forward towards the door. Neither did she rush nor move slowly. Kayana moved with an even grace of a lion, each step measured and effortless. Before leaving, she turned to regard Millie. Nothing was said, but Millie felt somehow relieved, empowered. With a yawn and a smile, Millie crawled into her bedding, suddenly curious what the morrow would bring. She had seen the promise in Kayana's eyes, almost like she expected more from me, Millie thought. The blankets were warm and heavy and kept the cold away. The cold air was dampened by the walls of the tent. She could hear a small wind blowing, although it was almost perfectly still. Oh, how the desert could change on a whim, though. A small wind could turn into a raging cyclone within minutes. For some reason, Kayana's calm strengthened her. Her rational mind knew that a storm would be disastrous for them, but she felt no twisting worry afflict her. Millie let the darkness close over her eyes. Dimly, she remembered seeing a crystal gem on a pedestal. Where had she seen it before? She would worry about it tomorrow. High above, a bird cry echoed in the night.